Good evening and welcome. Agenda for the combined meeting, 5 p.m., September 6, 2023. Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Here.
Ms. Douglas.
Here.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Here.
Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Mr. Rivera.
Here.
Mr. Sobrana.
Present.
Mr. Silva.
Here.
Mrs. Codispoti.
Here.
Ms. Spinelli.
Here. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following: announcing time, place, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, S&J Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Vesta Bueno, the Clerk of the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. At this time, please stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scott, is there a resolution for executive session?
No, there's not.
Moving on to special presentations. Mr. Yano, do we have any special presentations this evening?
Yes, we have two presentations. For the presentations, we don't need to move. We'll be using the screens that are placed strategically here on on the stage. The first presentation, Ms. Suzette Marchi, our Executive Director for Curriculum and Instruction, will present the NJ CUSAC District Improvement Plan and NJ GPA results for the spring of 2023.
Good evening, everyone. This evening, I will be speaking just very briefly about NJ CUSAC, as well as provide an update on our NJ GPA assessment results from spring 2023. So what is NJ CUSAC? It is New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum. CUSAC is the Department of Education's monitoring and evaluation system for public schools. There is a very specific process you can see right here on these 4-star points that all school districts must follow during the CUSAC process. There are 5 performance review areas. They are instruction and program, fiscal management, operations, personnel, and governance. This year, we submitted an improvement plan for the area of instruction and programming. There are 7 indicators that we will focus on in our improvement plan. Our NJ SLA scores for ELA, math, and science, our graduation rate, academic growth in the areas of ELA and math, and our achievement gap. Part of the district improvement plan, we had to create SMART goals for each one of the 7 indicators. At our last meeting, last Wednesday, the district improvement plan was approved, and each indicator had to have a SMART goal, strategies to achieve the goal, individuals that are responsible for the goal, a timeline, as well as evidence of completion. And I do feel very confident this year, as we move into the 23-24 school year, that we will be demonstrating growth in all 7 indicators. Next, I'd like to discuss our NJ GPA Spring 2023 results. So what is the NJ GPA? It is New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. All 11th grade students must take this assessment. It is considered the first pathway for students to meet their New Jersey State assessment requirement in language, arts, and math. Students must receive a minimum score of a 725 or greater to pass the NJGPA or to be considered graduation ready. So we will be discussing that, or I'll be sharing more about that in our presentation. So in the spring, 579 students at Vineland High School, they did take the NJGPA. So for our math results, you can see here on this graph, again, I had mentioned earlier that 725, students must earn a 725 or greater to be considered graduation ready or meet the minimum requirements of the NJGPA. So you can see here, this is the average scale score, state versus school. Our performance level, state versus school, this demonstrates in this graph students that did not meet the NJGPA or considered not graduate or graduation ready. And this is for math. Performance levels ready for graduation, state versus school. ELA NJGPA results. Again, 725 is that minimum score, that is a passing score. The average scale, again, state versus school. Performance levels. This graph shows not ready for graduation, state versus school, and students that are ready for graduation in the area of ELA. So what does it mean when we say not ready for graduation? Essentially, the student did not meet the minimum requirement for ELA or math. Students will then need to take an alternate pathway in order to meet their New Jersey State assessment requirement in language arts or math. There are different pathways for students to meet this requirement. The first requirement is that 725 in ELA or math by taking the NJGPA as an 11th grader. If students did not meet that minimum requirement, there are cut scores approved by the state of New Jersey in ELA and math. Students can demonstrate proficiency in either one of these areas, whether it be an ACT, an AccuPlacer, PSAT, or an SAT. This is another pathway if students were not successful in demonstrating proficiency in the first pathway, which is the NJGPA. Students were not successful with the NJGPA or with the second pathway, whether it be an SAT, a PSAT, AccuPlacer. There is a portfolio process that students can complete. So there is another alternative for our students. And as these 11th grade students become seniors tomorrow, those students that still have not met their New Jersey State assessment requirement in language arts or math, the guidance department and building administration will be meeting with these students, and they will make sure that they have these various pathways available to them and they know what they are so that they will have all their graduation requirements set for the class of 2024. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can we go back to the charts? I just want to be clear on what I saw.
For ELA?
For the very first chart, beginning with the first chart that you showed.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
So just so I'm understanding, that's when you get to the percentages, I guess the next chart.
State, right, the state,
State- Right, the red is the school, which is the high school.
right. So what this is saying is that 454 students that took the NJGPA in math did not meet the 725 minimum requirement
So that would be the 78.4%.
Yes.
Did not meet the requirement.
Yes.
And the same for the following.
And so here it would be 316 students in the area of ELA. So
Okay.
you can meet a math requirement and not meet an ELA, or vice versa. In the end, students will have to meet a minimum requirement for ELA and math. So they do have various pathways that they can, but they do have to sit and they do have to complete the NJGPA. So if a student did not sit for the NJGPA in the spring, they will have an opportunity in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Just a quick question. With respect to the alternative pathway, when they submit an appeal to the New Jersey Department of Education, what does the appeal consist of?
There are various components that they can submit, a writing piece. There are various processes in order to demonstrate that proficiency for both ELA and math, and it's a very, very clear and specific process that we submit to the state, and the state will then return back and say whether or not the student demonstrated proficiency on that. But our teachers work very closely with our students, and they support them each step of the way so that they are successful if a portfolio appeal has to be submitted.
Okay, thank you. And you indicated this is the first year for this particular exam?
So that actually the NJGP, this is the first year that these scores were actually, I guess you want to say counted, that we're actually looking at the NJGPA. So I am confident that as we move forward, we're going to see many, many more students be much more successful as, you know, our current 11th graders take it in spring 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. DeMarchi, for that presentation. We look forward to seeing the additional scores for this spring when our new 11th graders take the assessment. We're featuring our new screens tonight. Hopefully you're able to see everything. It looks pretty sharp. I want to thank Gia and the rest of the team upstairs for all the work they did to put this together. Now we wanted to provide you with a look ahead. We are looking at the school year coming up and want to share some of the great work that we completed over the summer, even starting last year as we prepare for the school year that is coming. Our students will be here tomorrow morning no matter what happens. The last 2 years we've had torrential downpours. Is any rain forecast? I hope not. I believe we're going to have great weather. Over the summer we had three large professional development events. We had Administrators Academy, held in June and August. We had our new teacher academy, and we also had a non-tenured teacher academy at Wallace. The new teacher academy was held in this building. We had over 60 plus new employees to the district. Our non-tenured academy, I believe we had about 102, 106 at Wallace joining us. Exceptional opportunities to engage with our new staff members. We also are in the middle of, and just completed today, our staff professional development held at Vineland High School. Huge numbers of staff. Pretty much every staff member passed through over the last 2 days. We even got to kick off our food trucks. You know, everyone was really excited about the food trucks and our coffee stations. But the professional development was excellent. It was exceptional. I want to thank the curriculum team, all of our assistant superintendents who participated, our executive director for specialized services, student services, and our business team as well for setting up an amazing event. But there was a lot of logistics. At the same time we're hosting the event, there's also construction happening on one side of the building where windows are being put in because the work continues to the last day until kids arrive. last year, and we got to launch our Portrait of a Graduate. Last year, we worked very diligently to get this process together to kind of develop a common vision for our district as we prepare to go into strategic planning. You heard a lot about our Portrait of a Graduate, so I'm not going to go through every single detail, but I do want to get to, our competencies. You'll hear these competencies over and over and over again: communication, empathy, adaptability, critical thinking, perseverance, and responsibility. They are part of the launch that we conducted on September 1st at every single elementary, middle school, and high school. Our team, our supervisors went out with our principals and opened up a session with their staff to launch how we will integrate all these competencies in our daily work. Not only is this something that's important to our students, it's important to our staff and the rest of our community. So I want to thank our team, our board for supporting that process that will now lead us into developing our strategic plan in 23-24 school year. I want to ask my team to step up and provide a couple updates from their different departments. So to begin with, Dr. Rossi will give you a quick overview of the personnel department.
Thank you, Mr. Yano. I do have amusing occurrences every summer. People say, gee, do you guys work in the summer? It's hectic as anything in the summer. I wanted to salute the people that really do a lot of the work in the Department of Personnel: Adriana Kukin, Gypsy Torres, Maritza Hernandez, Nicole Durham, Melissa McCafferty, and Maggie Marrero. Process everything from orientation, benefits, pension, health, everything you can imagine needs to be attended to. It takes a lot of time and effort, and I really appreciate those ladies very much. These are numbers since January 1, 2023. Teacher retirements, 33. Teacher resignations, also 33. Staff retirements, 23. Staff resignations, 27. Teacher hires, 51. Teacher transfers, 79. Staff hires, 27. Staff transfers, 23. Still working with Terry Godlewski on some special ed needs, and a German teacher has announced his resignation. So those are two areas that we are still focusing on for staffing for this school year. We were very aggressive. Salaries needed to come up to get experienced teachers to come, and we did work hard to do that and have had a measure of success. But I would caution that salaries are on the increase to get qualified people. They're just not accepting less. Building permanent substitute teachers, we would alert the board our relationship with ESS continues to be productive. As you have been briefed in the past, there is a modified sick leave law for use of paid sick leave. We anticipate challenges in that regard due to the breadth of reasons that paid time can be taken. We've provided building permanent subs, which are essentially rovers. They are available. They show up each day at their particular school, and they go to work. That's $175 a day. This would not include coverage for a call-out at 2 a.m. This would not include perhaps an open position that is not filled. An open position is budgeted but not filled. These are people who are assigned every day to react to the needs that the school has. Barcy, with approximately 230 students, has 1. DePalito, at 502 students approximately, has 2. Delago East, 126, has 1. Delago West, 196, has 1. Durand, at 514, has 2. Johnstone, 368, has 1. Memorial, 585, has 3. Menny's, 546, has 2. Petway, 485, has 2. Pilla, 668 approximate students, has 3. Rossi, 626, has 3. Sabataire, at 667 pupils, has 3. VHS North, with approximately 1,426 students, has 6. VHS South, with 1,360 students, has 5. Wallace, with 728 students, has 3. Winslow, with 470 students, has 2. As the board may know, the ESS also provides bus aids for us. We provide our own substitute security, our own secretaries, our own substitute nurses. So it's a partnership. It's very challenging with a large district, but we are ready for another school year. Any questions on these issues? Thank you.
Thank you. That was very informative. Mrs. DeMarchi, curriculum.
Hello again. So lots of great things happening in the area of curriculum and instruction. I particularly want to highlight just a few things. So I wanted just to point out our launch of our Health Science Academy this year at Vineland High School, as well as the launch of our career exploration program in all of our middle schools. We're also in our second year of construction trades, and I'm looking forward to some upcoming meetings that we do have scheduled already with RCSJ so that we can further discuss additional and potential opportunities for articulations and certification programs for our students. Another area we worked really hard on over the summer is we met with all of our instructional coaches. We have instructional coaches in our elementary schools. We did create a instructional coach manual at our next board meeting in October. I'm looking forward to sharing that information with all of you. Again, we're going to be updating our mentoring handbook, and we're going to be updating some curriculum throughout the year. So we've had a lot of great things happening within the area of curriculum instruction. I'm excited to continue to share those happenings with all of you very soon.
Thank you. Mr. Fry, a department update for pre-K to K-5.
Thank you. Throughout the summer, principals have worked with multiple departments to ensure that schools are ready to open. This year, the principals have worked extremely hard with registration to make sure classroom enrollments are balanced and every teacher has the tools they need for a successful school year. I want to thank both the principals and registration for taking the time and putting in the extra effort that it takes to make all this work. Preschool and kindergarten have been especially busy hosting open houses across the district. Over 250 families attended Delago East and West open house, where there was actually a school bus there for students to practice getting on and off of and buckling up. Many of our provider centers have hosted open houses and back-to-school events for our preschool students. Our elementary open houses went equally well. Parents were able to pick up the supplies, t-shirts, and most importantly, introduce our youngest students to their new teachers. In August, the principals met to discuss the continuous improvement guide and plans for the upcoming school year. We discussed how summer snapshot meetings informed their decisions for the upcoming school year and the plans to use professional learning communities to support student success. During this time, the principals developed common schedules and included unified beginning and end times for instruction throughout the school day. This will ensure each student across the district receives similar times for delivery of the curriculum. And I just want to make sure that I want to thank all the administrators, teachers, support staff, families, for all the work they did all summer long to complete this extremely busy schedule. I wish everyone a great opening day and a fantastic school year. Thank you.
Dr. Sneven, department update for 612.
Thank you. Good evening. Up at the secondary level, we have been working on the master schedule probably since last May at all of the secondary schools, and just as late as today, they're still tweaking pieces of the schedule in some of the middle schools because we do have many, many students who are still registering for school, so that is changing some of the numbers. But we are very ready at all of the secondary schools. Yes, like yesterday, but all 3 days, these past 3 days, our security team has met, the first at their own schools, and then yesterday we had a rather intensive training session in the morning all together, so that was very productive. And then they spent the afternoon between CPR retraining and handle with care. So all of our security guards are ready to go for the new school year. Some interesting updates over the summer in the athletic department. Mr. Robbins was scheduled to be here this evening, but was ill, so he'll give his whole presentation next month probably. But just to get everyone excited about our athletic department, the athletic department now has, it's Vineland_athletics on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it makes it really easy to follow along and to go to, especially the home events are being posted weekly. So for those of you on social media, I would encourage you to follow those pages, and you'll get really some really interesting updates on not just our current athletes, but some of our past athletes. So that's a little piece to athletics. Over the summer, the secondary team met multiple times to revise the secondary code of conduct. Last year was a sort of pilot for it because we had revised it in a major way. So this summer it mainly just needed some tweaks, which we did, but we put in 3 major new policies and procedures. I would say procedures, not policies. So the first one of which, and also on the Vineland Public Schools webpage and in every other way possible at the high school and the middle schools, we are publicizing, let's see, the first one on this list that you have in front of you is the attendance restoration at Vineland High School. We're in the process of making the final tweaks to Regulation 5200 involving student attendance, but only at the high school. We're having an attendance restoration policy similar to what other high schools all over the state have. So once a student goes beyond 12 absences, they will have to make up time in order to get themselves back to eligibility, back to accredited status. So that is a very, very drastic difference from years past. And we're doing lots and lots of publications for the students, all of the opening day meetings. There's posters all over the high school. This is just being done at the high school, and it is to encourage attendance. We have had, even before COVID, but certainly post-COVID, definite issues around student attendance, and we're looking to remediate those. So students that make their way to the ineligibility list for any reason won't be able to partake in a nutshell, all the fun parts of high school. If they're on a team, if they're in a club, if they're the lead in the play, it just doesn't matter. If your name's on the list, you can't do that. So, but there is a very detailed way that, and that is student-specific, that they can earn their way out of that status multiple times throughout the year. So that is something that we're looking to have a major impact on student attendance with. The next thing we put in at the whole secondary level is a merit-based point system. It says VHS on there, but that's for all the middle schools and the high school, not just VHS. So that's a little error. So that point system is, again, publicized on our social media, and it will be publicized at all of the opening events that the schools have in their class assemblies. And students we definitely have issues, especially at the secondary level, with students who are arriving to school late and leaving early. So they will get sort of a demerit, either 1, 2, or 3 points for either late or early dismissals, depending on how late they're showing up or how early they're trying to leave. A detention counts as 1 point, an in-school suspension counts as 2, and an out-of-school suspension is 3 points per day. Those are per day. So they will add up, not incredibly quick, but quick enough. So if you get to 20, you're getting on the ineligible list. And things beyond that, we'll take it more seriously. But we have, again, a way for a student to sort of redeem themselves with the merit-based point system. If they are in the clear for 15 days, they get 5 points back. And if next 15 days, another 5 points back. So they might dig themselves into a hole, but they can get out. And I think that's important because, students make mistakes. So that is the merit-based point system. And then the big one is the middle schools really did this already last year. This is coming to the high school near you. No cell phones and no earbuds. And there's just, it's not an unequivocal no, because there are cases where teachers ask students to wear earbuds to watch videos. There are some students who have some issues with noise, that wear noise-canceling headphones as a part of their 504 or their IEP, and this policy doesn't touch them. I can tell you that, though, kids walking like this down the hallway and looking at their cell phone, that's done. And we're going to have a really rough September, and we fully know that, and we expect it. And the middle schools all dealt with it. They took that rough first month, and then kids learned. They don't want to get their cell phone taken away, so they just keep it away. We know they have it on them. No one's asking them to leave it at home, but they're not to use it during the day. It really is impeding their education at this point, and we know from the research people just can't multitask, so we're asking them to do that. And one more caveat to that attendance restoration: medical appointments will be locally excused, as will court appearances. So when we put it on Facebook, there was a lot of questions, so I just wanted to say that out loud tonight as well. Any questions? I know that was a lot in a little bit of time. Yes. So the state of New Jersey only excuses 6 things. Medical notes are not one of them. Your local doctor's notes are not one of them. So that student's absence will still go to the state of New Jersey. We will locally excuse it at the school and district level to keep them out of things like that ineligible list. That's right. So that's where we're at with that. But the state, I can't change that idea. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Very informative. Next, Mr. Mustarell.
This will only take about 45 minutes, so bear with me. So, some of the things that have been happening this past summer, the end of last year, and some of the things that are going to happen next year. For facilities, we have a few HVAC projects, which includes new ceilings and LED lighting. They're ESSER funded. We'll start with Winslow Phase 2. It's 12 additional classrooms. Right now, we're waiting on the rooftop units, so temporary air conditioners will be installed in the classrooms. The projected estimation completion date is 10/1/23, so it's a few weeks away. Barcy, we've done the entire school. The project roof, the partial roof replacement due to asbestos remediation in the kindergarten wing library was also completed. The project is complete with the exception of 4 units. So again, we're going to be using temporary air conditioners in those classrooms that are affected. That also should be done by 10/1/23. Many's got HVAC in their main corridor, central office, and art room. The building is complete. Some of the window projects we did that were ESSER funded, VHS Tanner Building, all new windows, project's complete. That finished this summer. VHS South Building, new windows in the V Wing. The project is about 3 weeks away from being completed. Durand, we are approving that tonight, hopefully. The project includes screens, windows, operable windows, and blinds. This project is scheduled for next summer. Some of the district-funded projects we're looking at for this coming year, for this past year was roof replacement, and that project is now complete. For this coming year, 23-24, some vehicles, warehouse, maintenance vehicles, UTVs. We're refurbishing the Landis chiller here at this building. We're refurbishing the Memorial chiller. I believe there's 2 of them. Delago East is getting security doors, and some electronic signs that we're doing for the schools are VHS and Petway. The camera projects, which are SDA funded from grant money from the state, School Development Authority. Phase 1 is almost complete. I think we got like 5 cameras left. Included in this phase is Vineland High School and the middle schools, both interior and exterior. Phase 2 is in the design phase. So we hope to outfit the rest of the district this coming year. We'll see how far the money stretches. Food service. For the facilities, I want to thank Paul Farinaccio and his team for doing a fantastic job this summer and always. Food service, modernization of some various kitchen equipment, approximately $450,000 worth. We're replacing the food service box truck. I want to thank Pravesh for pointing out what areas need to be upgraded, and of course, Paul Farinacio's team for making it happen. Transportation Department, we're purchasing buses this year. We've also installed Wayfinder and StopFinder for parents to track their children while they're on the bus. So, exciting things happening, exciting things have happened. Thank you for your time and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Musterell, with his 6 slides. Next, I'd like to invite Mrs. Godlewski for Student Services.
Good evening, and I promise only one slide. We've been, Student Services has been working diligently on projects and initiatives to welcome our students and staff back for the upcoming school year. One of the areas under the direction of Mrs. DeMario is our nursing protocols that we are putting into place. As you may know, when Mrs. DeMario took the position, we were knee-deep in COVID, so her time and efforts, as well as her nurses, were spent navigating the pandemic. Now that things have, I knock wood when I say this, but as things are kind of status quo right now, she has been working with her staff on protocols and training for students with chronic health conditions. And these new protocols are in alignment with medical health associations such as the American Diabetes Association, the Asthma and Allergy Foundation, and the Epilepsy Foundation. Another area that she's focused on is immunization compliance. As you probably know, students at certain grades are excluded from school if they're not current with their immunizations. We have taken a proactive approach this summer. At registration, her nurses have been doing outreach to parents to ensure that parents know what their children need so they are able to start school in a timely fashion and remain in school. Mrs. DeMario is also working on protocols as we have agency collaborations for our one-to-one nurses, as well as collaboration with agencies for nursing substitutes. So we are working on how to make our partnerships better and more effective. Under the direction of Mrs. Rodolfo, our guidance supervisor, we have many activities and initiatives coming out of there, but the 2 big ones are restorative practice and NJ4S. Restorative practice is in direct alignment with our Portrait of a Graduate. And what that is a way of fostering healthy relationships among students and staff within the schools, promoting positive discipline and positive interactions within the school setting. We are in the process this year of training all of our teachers in these restorative practices, and Mrs. Rodolfo has worked with building administration as well as different key people within the district to be trainers. NJ4S is a state initiative. It's the statewide student support services. And what that is the state is looking at ways of providing services and resources intended to support student mental wellness. So this is coming in. They're going to supply students, staff, families, as well as community agencies with supports needed for students who may need some extra attention in those areas. For special education, Kelly Castellini and Alex Nonemacher are working with our child study team members to address student transfers. As of right now, from July 1st on, we received 75 students from other districts that may have had special education indication at registration. There's research to the district where they're coming from to ensure that they are given a program without a lapse. We are also working in alignment with the New Jersey Department of Education, as their focus this year is inclusive education. students being able to be educated in the least restrictive environment as possible, general education as much as possible. Our preschool is already in that implementation, and if you remember when the preschool administration came to speak, they talked about how special education students were going to be at each of the provider locations as well as within our own Delago and Delago East centers. So we're very excited about that. And right now, as a department focus, we are working on working with administration, with INRS teams, as well as our special education and general education teachers for K-12 training to give them the supports that they need to keep students in the general ed as much as possible. We are in year 2 of our autism program analysis. So we are in the training phase of that, where we worked with Monmouth University. And really the last thing that's a big project for us is that we have applied for a mental health initiative grant under the American Superintendents Association and the JED Foundation, which is a private foundation. We have been accepted into that. We are working with our legal teams right now on the contract, and that is a mental health initiative to support all students within our district. So we're very proud and very busy. Any questions? Thank you.
So as you can see, the team has been hard at work all summer long. We have been really getting ready for our schools, our students, our staff. We're super excited about the year and the prospects of doing amazing things for our community. So thank you again for your time. We'll be reporting on many of these projects throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of great information there. Moving on to the HIB report this evening, there is none. Any questions or comments regarding the approval of minutes? Seeing none. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Abstain from August 2, 2023 combined meeting, and abstain August 2nd for the 2023 executive session. Yes, as to the August 30th, 2023 additional combined meeting.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sobrano?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes to the 2 August 2nd and abstain on the August 30th.
Thank you. Ms. Codispoti?
Yes to August 2nd combined meeting, August 30th additional combined meeting, and abstain from the August 2nd executive session.
Thank you. Ms. Spinelli?
Just for the record, I didn't read the approval of the minutes. So I'm going to read it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Approval of the minutes, August 2nd, 2023 combined meeting, August 2nd, 2023 executive session, August 30th, 2023 additional combined meeting. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Any committee reports this evening? Seeing none. Public meeting report by board solicitor?
None.
There's no student representation tonight. Public comment on items or any matter, please limit yourself to 3 minutes and you can come to the podium.
Luz Vasquez?
Luz Vasquez from Vineland. Now that my daughter graduated, I'll just be a community member that's concerned. But the topic tonight that I wanted to bring up were our personnel issues and how decisions are made here. Last year, I did a mini presentation with the data on the diversity disparity here in the district. And I appreciate that efforts have been made to close the gap and afford more opportunities for minorities to have administrative positions here in the district. With that being said, decisions have been made from the administration that have been challenged by the board. And what the public sees is that a decision is made and the board does not agree with them. So there seems to be a disconnect on how decisions are being made, especially when it comes to personnel matters. The most recent one being with Coach Guzman. And there was a public outcry in which the board voted, and congratulations to Coach Guzman on his major victory. So kudos to him for that. So, it does concern me why there is such a disconnect. In November, there will be an election, and there will be new members on the board and a reorganization in January. I encourage those that are going to be on this board for the end of this year and the coming year to really take your role the way I think that as a constituent who votes for each and every one of you, to take it seriously and advocate for a more active role in these decisions that are being made. I do see the public sees there is a disconnect. What the administration may do at times conflicts with what the public and students feel is appropriate. I think that whether that entails a conversation, I'm even concerned about how these candidates are being screened. If the screening committee consists of everyone that is in this room right now, I'm not sure how fair that is. One of the recommendations that I made for the diversity is include other individuals who really don't have stake in the decision, neutral, who have the ability to make a fair decision, not based on maybe personal opinions or even professional opinions. Also, why can't one of the board members or a few of the board members sit in on those interviews? I think that would be a great idea. You may not be able to contribute to the actual interview, but to be there just to ensure that the process is fair and equitable for everyone going in, and that the scoring is also fair. And not to say that it's not happening that way, but again, it just creates a trust for the public to ensure that things are being done fair and just, and that this administration is being transparent the way I think all government should be, transparent and open and accessible to the public. So it's just my 2 cents for tonight. Thank you.
Motions and resolutions. Superintendent recommendations for discussion and approval by the board. The consent agenda. Moving on to personnel matters.
Requesting discussion and approval for personnel items 1.1 through 1.4. 1.1, approval of the following: retirements, resignations, B, substitutes as noted on our agenda. 1.2, permission for all certificated staff as assigned to meet with a trainer to brainstorm ideas and work on implementation of restorative practices in PLC meetings outside of school hours. 1.3, approval of all certificated staff to provide educational services to students in need of homebound instruction for the 23-24 school year. 1.4, approval of the revised appointment of staff of the federal program salaries and funding percentages for the 22-23 school year. Is that the correct school year, 22-23? 1.4? Yes. Last year, okay. Approval of the, I'll read it again. Approval of the revised appointment of staff of the federal program salaries and funding percentages for the 22-23 school year as per the names provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board.
Any questions or comments?
President Spinelli.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to table 1.1 personnel, the acting principals tab for VHS.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Are we, which particular one are,
You're voting to table 1.1 appointing an acting principal at the high school.
no. I really believe that it's in the best interest of our students, particularly our high school students, who are starting tomorrow, to have someone designated as acting principal. I think it's important to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and I would like this vote to occur tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Douglas?
No. I believe it is important for us to be the first examples of leadership and making sure that is in place so that it is reflected in school mentality for our students. And we want to show a strong face and faith. And so I'm voting no to table the discussion in.
Thank you. Mr. Fiocchi?
No.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
No.
Motion carries to table 1.1 acting VHS principals.
So now we're going to move on to the regular 1.1.
1.1
Yep.
to 1.4, correct.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes, and congratulations to our retirees.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati? Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Procedures and operations, requesting discussion and approval of items 2.1 through 2.7. 2.1, approval of trips and district travel. 2.2, approval of the second reading of the following policy for discussion, Policy 2419. 2.3, approval authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement with the following colleges and universities for the 23-24 school year. 2.4, approval of the revised 23-24 district calendar. 2.5, approval of the 23-24 emergency virtual remote instruction plan and LEA guidelines for Chapter 27 emergency virtual or remote instruction plan. 2.6, approval of the 23-24 PDP plan, mentor manual, and mentee handbook. 2.7, approval of K-5 ELA into reading curriculum and middle school, high school reveal math curriculum.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. For 2.3, am I able to abstain from an individual bullet point? Okay.
I have a question. For 2.4, I see note March 8th, 2024. Can you just clarify that for everybody?
Yes. No, March 8th on the last calendar that was approved was going to be a professional development day for the district. Because we moved and had 3 professional development days at the beginning of the school year, we had to eliminate one so that we were in compliance with the VEA contract. So we eliminated March 8th, which I believe is a Friday. That'll be an off day for students and staff. And we still will have a closing activity at the end of the year. So that's to make sure we're in compliance with the contracts.
So everybody's off that day.
March 8th, the district will be closed.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes, but abstain from bullet point 4 and 7.
1.4 and 1.7?
The individual bullet point under 2.3. That's what I had asked.
2.4 and 2.7.
No, I had asked earlier if I'm able to abstain under 2.3 from an individual bullet point.
Please name the school, the university that you're abstaining on.
Okay. Yes for 2.3, but I'm abstaining from Rowan College of South Jersey and Rowan University.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottaspati? Yes. Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval of Buildings and Grounds 3.1. Approval of a resolution with the Board of Education of the City of Vineland School District in the County of Cumberland, New Jersey, authorizing the appropriate school district officials and professional advisors to prepare and submit a long-range facilities plan amendment.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottaspati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval regarding finance items 4.1 through 4.7. 4.1, approval of budgetary transfers for general, school-based, and grants July 2023. 4.2, requesting approval of the treasurer's report and secretary's report that are in agreement for the month ended July 2023. 4.3, approval of the placement of special education students. 4.4, approval of the submission of the FY 2024 Perkins Secondary Consolidated Application. 4.5, approval of the submission of the 2024 Individuals with Disabilities Education Act application to the State of New Jersey Department of Ed. 4.5, approval of Apex Learning through Edmentum, which includes unlimited access to live professional development. 4.6, approval for prior professional training from staff development workshops for September 5th and 6th professional development days in the amount of $6,000. 4.7, approval of professional development in the amount of $8,484 provided by SRI and ETTC.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi? Mr. Fiocchi? Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottaspati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, sorry.
I apologize.
Requesting discussion and approval regarding finance items 4.8 to 4.15. 4.8, approval of professional development in the amount of $2,200 provided by NJPSA FEA for the November 7th workshop. 4.9, approval of tuition contracts for the City of Vineland Board of Education. 4.10, approval of a resolution that awards contracts to the child care providers and is paid by Preschool Education Aid, PEA funding. 4.11, approval of the Rowan College 12 bus advertisements for a 12-month term. 4.12, approval of the approval of the proposal for FFA Leadership Experience and Development, LEAD, which is also grant funded. 4.13, approval awarding the following contract for Durand and Winslow window replacement. I believe you had a comment?
I do, if I may. The Durand-Winslow window replacement was bid out that way, but due to budgetary concerns, it is now Durand window replacement. The Winslow portion of that bid had to be deducted due to budgetary constraints.
So
it was prioritized.
Okay, so specific to Durand School.
Correct.
4.14, approval awarding the following contract for Johnstone Interior Doors, contractor C&M Door Controls. 4.15, approval of the sale, the vehicle list, which is on file with the board secretary.
Any questions or comments?
I have one. On that 4.13, it's the same amount though, correct? That's on here or no?
So the actual bid came in at $1,629,000, which due to budgetary constraints we couldn't do. So the amount is now $755,000 after we deduct out the Winslow portion of that bid.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi, Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes to all, abstained 4.11.
I'm sorry, 4 point what?
11.
Thank you. Mr. Sabrana,
Yes, but abstain on item 4.15.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati,
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Regular agenda, none. Proposed items for review or discussion by board members, none. Approval of itemized bill pay list for July 2023. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi, Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati,
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Emergent items with prior approval, none. Old business this evening, none. Any new business this evening? Seeing none. Board member remarks, starting with Mr. Rivera.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to repeat what I repeated last week and wishing everyone a successful school year. Tomorrow, everyone comes back to their schools, and it's an exciting time, it's a new beginning, and I look forward to a successful school year. The last couple weeks have been a little bit, tensions at times. We have had disagreements, we've had our differences, but I truly believe that we may have our differences, but we all have the same goal, and that's to have our children have the best possible education that we can afford them. We're never going to always agree. We're never always going to, think the same way of how we can successfully do that. But the end goal is always the same, and I truly believe that we will accomplish those goals. In the matter of transparency, I believe that transparency is always warranted. You can never have too much of it, because if you have a lot of transparency, there's not too many questions that are left unanswered. So I'm always an advocate for transparency, and I believe that's the right way to go. And I believe this school district administration, they're willing to do that, and I truly believe that they are willing to do that. And this is it's always tough. It's tough decisions. It's never easy. None of us up here, bring. Is there any joy it brings to us that we vote one way or another? Is just a job and a conviction that each of one of us have as to why we vote the way we vote. Parents, always get involved in your children's education. Ask plenty of questions. Padres, envuélvanse en la educación de sus hijos y hagan muchas preguntas. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sabrana.
Also looking forward to a safe, successful opening to school, and also good luck to the Vineland High School football team, and hope everyone had a restful last few weeks of the summer.
Mr. Silva.
Yes, I'd like to wish all of our students, staff, and administrators a successful school year. Looking forward to the school year starting, and have a good night.
Mr. Fiocchi. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I'd like to wish everyone a great and successful school year. Thank you to the Central Administration Office for your presentations today and all the work that you've been doing throughout the summer to make sure that we're prepared for tomorrow. Special thank you to a team that doesn't really get recognized enough. That's Mr. Paul Fernacchio and his maintenance staff that made sure that our buildings were structurally sound so that we can return to school on time tomorrow. So great job to you guys for all the overtime and things that were put in for the projects that we had happen this summer. Thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Guzman, and everyone have a great evening.
Ms. Acosta.
I just want to take an opportunity to welcome back all our teachers, staff members, and our students tomorrow on their first day of school. I wish you the very best of luck for this 23-24 school year. I am looking forward to hearing about all the wonderful things that are going on in your respective schools. I really would like to take the opportunity as well to thank Mr. Yano and Central Administration for providing us with an update. It was very informative. I can see that you were all very busy this summer. There's a lot of work that goes into preparing our school district for the next school year, but more importantly, looking down the road, preparing our school district for the challenges that our students will be facing, in not only in this school year, but the many, many school years to come. So thank you so much for your thoughtful presentation. I just want to wish all those new teachers that were hired. Dr. Rossi indicated we had quite a few number of new teachers, the very best of luck on their first day of school. And I look forward to seeing all of you, hopefully, at board meetings in the future, because we do appreciate the comments, and it's important for the board to be able to hear not only from staff members and teachers, but also from parents who we serve. So thank you very much.
Mrs. Douglas.
I'd like to say congratulations to all the students that will be entering the first day of school as seniors. I'm praying for a safe school year and definitely a safe first day of school. And to the administrators, teachers, and staff, I want to encourage you to stay in the moment, enjoy the day, and to all get some rest tonight and have a very good night. Thank you.
Ms. Kataspati.
I'd like to welcome back all of our teachers, administrators, support staff, students for the 2023-2024 school year. I'd like to echo the sentiments of most of my board members. I agree with everything Mr. Rivera said, so I'm not going to repeat that. I do want to congratulate Coach Guzman and the football team on their win, I believe, against Bridgeton. Sorry. And I'd like to wish the football team and all the sports teams luck for the rest of the season. I want to congratulate Cole, our therapy dog, who was named as the ASPCA National Dog of the Year. So he's now won 2 titles. Very exciting. Thank you all for the presentations. I know you guys worked very, very hard this summer, and I appreciate seeing everything. It kind of broke everything down for me, so I appreciate that. I just want to wish everyone a very safe, successful, and productive school year, and I'm hoping that you all have a blessed day. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Yano.
Yes, thank you. We've had a wonderful summer. We've had the jitters as we get excited for this new set of students to come in, who are going to be coming tomorrow. No matter what happens, our students will be here tomorrow, and we are excited. We've had a productive few months developing plans, and you'll see the product and the end results throughout the year. I do have a concern because the team that I work with conducts every year multiple rounds of interviews, recommendations, and the selection process. So I do not agree with that idea or any type of insinuation that we are not following our board policy, best practices in hiring, because that is not the case. We are professionals in this area with extensive experience in the selection, vetting, support, and even mentoring of new leaders. So when we make recommendations to the board, I want everyone to understand and be assured that it is with the full confidence of the team that we worked with. And I take offense to the idea that maybe I did something wrong. I did not. I promise you. Check my paperwork. I did nothing wrong. I presented the best candidates. The board has the responsibility to vote it up or down. Today, they decided to table it, which means we have to have a plan for tomorrow because our kids are coming. The professional staff at the high school is prepared to receive students. We will be there together tomorrow. I know I'll see Dr. Sneeden and Suzette DeMarchi and Terry, and I know Nate will be out in the field at all of our elementary schools, and I know Dr. Rossi will continue the process of vetting all of our staff and making sure that we have the best and brightest folks for our community, because that's what it's all about. But we're at the beginning of the process again. So now we have to develop a timeline for the selection of the permanent principals, because that is what needs to happen next. But I do have a question for our board solicitor. If this committee is required to follow board policy in the selection of candidates, what is the process for the board to revise bylaws that then would allow them to participate in observing principal level positions? Right now, the current bylaw allows central office when we're hiring a board, a business administrator, an assistant superintendent, an executive director. We had our board members, 2 observers, observe the process. But that is not allowed under the current policy for principals, and that's been brought up a few times. In compliance with board policy, we did not allow observers to participate. That would be a violation. It would be inappropriate. What is the process for the board to engage in that revision, modification, suspension of that bylaw?
Mr. Yano, the board and the administration are not only required to abide by school law, but also by the decisions of the School Ethics Commission. So we have 2 authorities that we have to answer to. The School Ethics Commission has always determined that the interview process and the recommendation process is an administrative function. The School Ethics Committee issued an opinion, which I had rendered a couple of opinions on over the years, basically saying only high-level management positions, i.e. assistant superintendents and such level, where board members may participate as observers and not more than 2 board members can observe. So it isn't just a matter of board policy. We can't change the ethics opinion. So unfortunately, even if the board and the administration wanted to get together on this, you can't do it. The best you can probably do is interview as you've been doing at the principal level, and then work something out with the policy personnel committee to get board members' involvement before it comes to the full board. I can suggest to you that there may be some creative way of doing that to get that collaboration that you're looking for. I'm not aware of anything that says that with the permission of the candidate, with your permission, that the candidate couldn't appear before the personnel committee before it comes here. And that's where your policy would have to be, revised in some way. But in terms of the principal level and participating in the interview process, I believe the ethics opinion would prohibit that.
And typically when we arrive to the Policy and Personnel Committee, we have narrowed it down from a pool who have been reviewed by our Director of Personnel for their qualifications, and then we've done an interview process, a first round, a second round, a third round, so there are far fewer candidates who may, some finalists that may come to the Policy and Personnel meeting. So what you're saying is we could invite the finalists to that meeting at a Policy and Personnel session.
One that you intend to recommend.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
I'm not aware of any prohibition to that process as long as it's consented to by the candidate and you and of course the board committee.
Is there any, it's come up tonight and in other times about having community involvement in the interview process?
I recall that there are decisions that allow community membership on committees such as long-range planning, where you're looking for public input. But quite honestly, and I could check with school boards on this, I believe that they discourage public participation in that process only because it should be left to the professionals. I can check that out. I'm not aware that that is historically done. I'm not aware that it's permitted, but I can certainly check that out.
Right, I think that would be helpful. I know some districts do surveys and they have forums to collect
what you must
information.
understand is if the school ethics committee is prohibiting board members from participating, they certainly would prohibit outsiders from participating, because you have a vested interest as the determining authority, as the board does.
Mr. DeSanto.
So you can see, yeah, John.
I recall in the late 90s, and I don't know whether the Ethics Commission was formed because of that or made decisions because of that, but we had a superintendent who had a hiring plan which would include a broad range of administration, teaching staff, and members of the public. There were 20 at one time. It was, I don't want to say bizarre, but it was very tedious because of all the people involved, and it led to a couple of very, very good decisions in hiring and several that were very memorable the other way. It was abandoned when that superintendent moved on, and I don't think anyone ever imagined. So that was the far reaches of having so many people involved.
Yeah, my comments are not to disparage the public members. I'm saying to you is that if board members can't participate, then clearly if we were to request an opinion, they would say it's usurping the administrative function of the superintendent. That's all I'm saying.
No, I appreciate the clarification. There are ways to get community involvement through surveys, through Q&As with district administrators as far as like the traits and personality and the skill set of a future administrator, but being in the room during the interviews seems to be prohibited from what I understand. Okay. The reason I'm asking these questions is because I want the public to understand that we're at a critical point at the high school. We need leaders. We're committed to getting through the process. Dr. Rossi and I today talked about what we would do if this doesn't go through tonight, and finding subs that can handle the building who are capable of committing to the full high school experience, let's say, evening events, observations, evaluations, and who are up to speed. So we're going to review that tomorrow to determine if we have some candidates who are going to be able to commit that much time to hold us over while we continue the interview process. We have to revise and update our postings and get a posting out as soon as possible. If there is no revision of policy, then that means that we could potentially have something in line, I would say, aggressively November. What do you think, Dr. Rossi? Okay. I just want to put it out there. We hope to be able to hit October, but I don't know if all of the levels of interaction that we're going to be asked to have, we would be able to hit that, and we want to do a good job. We want to make sure we're doing an inclusive process. I will be asking Dr. Sneven and Executive Director DeMarchi and Godlewski as well to assist at the high school daily, to make sure that we are in order and able to proceed in a safe and engaged manner with all of our students and staff members, because I know they're going to need some direction. Thank you so much for the clarification.
If I may, this may be a distinction without a difference, but the vote tonight was to table. It wasn't defeating the motion, so that's still lingering till the next meeting. So the board, the board can move it off the table, and then there could be a vote on what you did, okay? Or it could be moved off the table, and you could withdraw the prior recommendation, but we need to clear the record with respect to what was done tonight. And I can speak to Ms. Spinelli and you about that so that we have clear guidelines on what to do. But the next meeting, you'll have to do something on, because when the table moves it to the next meeting, that's what it does. It just defers it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. No, thank you. That's enough for me. I've said enough. Thank you.
All right, on a lighter note, I just want to wish everyone a happy first day. Thanks to the administrative team for that wonderful presentation. I am excited of what the work that you guys have done over the summer and trying to, see that forecast into the school year. I know there's going to be a lot of wonderful things. I know, again, our maintenance department, windows, doors, cameras, roofs, all kinds of exciting things happening on our buildings. And one thing that I always feel passionate about is beautification. I love when I get to see our schools getting updated. Due to funding, we weren't able to do all that stuff, but definitely exciting to see some updating happening. So I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at the first day of school. I will be making my rounds out there and seeing all those smiling faces. So have a good night, and I'll see everyone soon.